Ed Martel here from the Overhead Athletic Institute and Health Quest Physical Therapy. Just got done treating patients. I had an athlete that came to me today who was a shoulder patient who, college pitcher, he was telling me a little bit about how his trainer used to stretch his shoulder, similar to what I did when I was a professional pitcher, how the trainers used to stretch us. And he was talking about how they're using a bat, they're going into external rotation, and there's a lot of things have been modified since I played, but external rotation is a product of how you throw the ball, and I know it's a necessity, but if you look at a biomechanically efficient throw, they don't necessarily access the entirety of their external rotation, so it's an unnecessary stretch. Many athletes that I see, and that's well identified in the research, have an internal rotation deficit. The one thing that I think needs to be looked at more is that internal rotation deficit in a compressed socket and a protracted shoulder. So we'll often do mobilizations throughout the entire range of protraction and retraction to try and acquire as much mobility in that posterior inferior capsule as we potentially can, so that athlete can retract their shoulder, because the infraspinatus is acting isometrically to try and stabilize the shoulder and get a little posterior retraction in the initial aspects of the throw. And then when you internally rotate it, it has to be able to stay depressed while the shoulder protracts and adducts around the shoulder, or adducts around the rib cage. So it's very important to do internal rotation stretching throughout the entire thoracic rotation and scapular protraction around the rib cage. So just avoid that external rotation stretch. It's an unnecessary aspect of throwing. It's still being done. I know some athletes like to stretch their shoulder in external rotation. Just throwing the ball and warming up lightly gets you more and more external rotation as you heat up the tissues. But internal rotation and adduction, which we've done videos on before, but we do mobilization videos, but you just need to know how to keep your shoulder mobile in the socket and then train the muscles throughout their entire range as they're being used in certain regions of the throwing motion. So just a note for athletes who are still doing or having someone externally rotate their shoulder and stretch it prior to a throwing bout. Avoid it. It's unnecessary. Make sure you like the video, subscribe or comment. We look forward to the comments for information or other things that you guys might want us to post on. We've got videos on mobilizations already that we've posted, some of the self-stretching that we do for mobilization, specificity of the internal rotation stretch. We're going to be focusing in the future on videos that reinforce that internal rotation mobility that you need to have, as well as the eccentric strength that you need to control your shoulder in the socket. So we're going to be posting those videos in the future, but look forward to your comments on information that you might want us to cover in the future.